Hi everyone, welcome to Emma, a true infidelity story. I'm excited to share a new story with you. In the year 1980, the world outside my window was painted in hues of green, the pine trees standing tall and proud, they ascent, mingling with the distant rhythmic hum of a lawnmower. I'm Sophia, 32, a homemaker living in a quaint suburban neighborhood in Ohio. My husband Lucas, a salesman at the local appliance store, leaves early in the morning, his footsteps echoing through our modest three-story home with the white picket fence. He returns late, his smile weary but warm, a testament to the long hours he spends on the road selling dreams of modern convenience to the families of our town. Our home, our sanctuary, is where we've woven the tapestry of our life together. It's not just the walls that hold our memories. It's the laughter, the quiet moments, and the shared glances over dinner. And then there's Archie, our golden retriever, whose boundless energy and affection fill every corner of our house with joy. His tail wages like a metronome, setting the pace of our days. Life at a glance seems perfect. But as the sun sets casting long shadows across our lawn, the veneer of this idyllic existence begins to crack. It started subtly like the first whisper of autumn in the air. One evening, as I was setting the table for dinner, the phone rang. It was unusual for anyone to call at this hour. Lucas was still on his way home, and I was alone with Archie, who sat at my feet, his head tilted listening to the ring. I picked up the receiver, expecting perhaps a wrong number or a neighbor's invitation for coffee. Instead, a voice smooth and unfamiliar greeted me. "Hello, Sophia," it said, and there was something in the tone, a familiarity that sent a chill down my spine. "I hope I'm not interrupting your evening." I hesitated, the fork I was holding clattering against the plate. "Who is this?" I managed my voice, a mix of curiosity and caution. The voice chuckled, a sound that felt too intimate, too knowing. "Let's just say I'm a friend of Lucas's. We've had some interesting conversations about you." My heart skipped a beat. Lucas had never mentioned this person, and the implication of their words hung heavy in the air. I felt a flush of heat, not from the stove, but from the sudden, unspoken suggestion of something illicit, something hidden. The call ended abruptly, leaving me with a sense of unease that lingered like the scent of burnt toast. I tried to shake it off to focus on the normalcy of setting the table, but the seed of doubt had been planted that night. As Lucas came home, his smile weary but warm, I couldn't help but look at him differently. Was there something he wasn't telling me? The dinner conversation was strained, my mind elsewhere, replaying the voice, the laugh, the implications. Days passed, and with each one more signs appeared. A letter addressed to Lucas with no return address, its contents veiled in cryptic language that hinted at secrets. A lipstick stain on his collar, one shade too vibrant to be mine. The scent of another's perfume lingering in our bedroom, a scent that was not mine, nor any I recognized from our neighbors or friends. Each discovery was like a thread pulled from the fabric of our life, unraveling it. Bit by bit, I confronted Lucas, my voice trembling, not with anger, but with a fear of what I might uncover. His explanations were vague, his eyes avoiding mine. And that's when the perfect image of our life began to shatter. What could possibly go wrong in such a serene setting? Everything, it seemed, as the illusion of our perfect life started to crumble, revealing layers of deceit, hidden desires, and the painful truth that sometimes the most beautiful gardens hide the deepest roots of betrayal. It all started one lazy Saturday afternoon. Lucas was away on a business trip, leaving me to tend to our home alone. The sun was high, casting playful shadows through the curtains. I decided to take Archie for a walk, hoping the fresh air would clear my mind from the monotony tasks of the day. As we strolled through the park, I noticed Archie's unusual behavior. He was more clingy than usual, his tail wagging furiously, his eyes locked on mine with an intensity one hadn't seen before. His behavior was so out of character that it felt like he was trying to tell me something, his gaze almost pleading. We walked past the old oak tree, where we usually played fetch, but today Archie didn't even glance at his favorite stick. Instead, he stayed close, his body pressed against my leg, as if seeking comfort or protection. Returning home, I prepared dinner, but my thoughts kept drifting back to Archie's odd demeanor. The house felt too quiet, too empty, without Lucas's usual chatter about his day. I set the table for one, the clink of the cutlery echoing in the silence. Archie sat by my feet, his head resting on my lap, his eyes following my every move. That night, as I lay in bed, the house silent except for the ticking of the clock, Archie jumped onto the bed, something he rarely did. His presence was comforting yet unsettling. I stroked his fur, feeling the warmth of his body against mine. What was going through Archie's mind, and why did it feel so different? His usual playful energy was replaced by a solemn watchfulness, as if he sensed something I couldn't. The next morning, the sun rose with a promise of normalcy, but the unease from the previous day lingered. I went through the motions of my routine, but my mind was elsewhere. I remembered the mysterious phone call, the cryptic letter, and the lipstick stain. Each piece of evidence was like a puzzle piece, but they didn't fit together in any way that made sense. I decided to delve deeper into Lucas's belongings, something I had never felt the need to do before in his study. I found a locked drawer. My heart raced as I used a hairpin to unlock it, a skill I had learned from an old spy movie. Inside, there were more letters, all from the same unknown sender filled with veiled threats and promises. One letter in particular caught my eye. It was written in a flowing script, the words dripping with a familiarity that made my stomach churn. Lucas, your secrets are safe with me. But remember, secrets have a way of coming to light. The implications were clear, yet shrouded in mystery. What secrets did Lucas have that could be so damaging? My mind raced with possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. I spent the day in a day cleaning, cooking, but my thoughts were consumed by the letters. Archie, sensing my distress, never left my side. His presence was a small comfort in the storm of my thoughts. As evening approached, the doorbell rang. It was Mrs. Thompson from next door, her face etched with concern. Sophia Day, I saw you looking a bit down today. Everything all right? I forced a smile, just a bit under the weather. Mrs. Thompson, thank you for checking in. She nodded, her eyes lingering on me with a mix of pity and curiosity. Well, if you need anything, you know where I am. After she left, I sat in the living room, the letters spread out before me on the coffee table. Archie lay at my feet, his head on my toes, his eyes never leaving the papers. The night deepened, and with it my resolve. I needed answers, not just for my peace of mind, but for the life we had built, for the trust that was now hanging by a thread. I picked up the phone, my hand trembling. I dialed Lucas's office number, hoping to catch him before he left for another trip. The phone rang, each tone of beat in my anxious heart. Lucas, I said when he answered. My voice stuttered, despite the turmoil inside. We need to talk when you get back. There are things we need to clear up. There was a pause, a heavy silence. Sophia, I'll be home tomorrow. We'll talk then. The call ended, but the silence it left was louder than any words. I sat back, the weight of the unknown pressing down on me. Archie nuzzled closer, his warmth a stark contrast to the cold dread seeping into my bones. What secrets did Lucas hold? What was this a hinting at? And why did Archie seem to understand more than I did? The questions swirled in my mind, each one a thread in the unraveling tapestry of our life. As I lay in bed that night, with Archie's steady breathing beside me, I knew that tomorrow would bring answers, or perhaps more questions. But one thing was certain. The perfect life we had was now just an illusion, and beneath it lay truths waiting to be unearthed. The next morning, the house was still quiet, the only sound being the soft patter of Archie's paws on the hardwood floor. I was in the kitchen, lost in thought over a cup of coffee, when Archie approached me with a look that seemed almost human. His behavior had escalated. He was more than just affectionate. In a moment of weakness, feeling the loneliness of Lucas's absence, I allowed Archie to nuzzle closer than usual. What happened next was a blur, a mix of confusion, guilt, and an inexplicable connection. I found myself in an intimate situation with Archie, something I had never imagined possible. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I had crossed a line that should never have been approached. How could I face Lucas? After what had transpired, the guilt weighed on me like a heavy cloak. As I sat there, the coffee growing cold in my cup, Archie, sensing my distress, lay his head on my lap, his eyes filled with a depth of understanding that only deepened my shame. I pushed him away gently, my hands trembling. No, Archie, I whispered, my voice breaking. This isn't right. I stood up abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor, and walked to the sink. Pouring out the coffee, my mind was racing, trying to rationalize, to find some semblance of normalcy in the chaos of my emotions. I couldn't look at Archie. I couldn't bear the sight of his confused, loving eyes. Instead, I busied myself with the dishes, scrubbing at the plates with a ferocity that matched the turmoil inside me. The day stretched on each minute, feeling like an eternity. I avoided Archie, who seemed to follow me with a silent plea in his gaze. I cleaned the house, rearranged furniture, anything to keep my hands busy, and my mind from wandering back to the morning's events. By noon, the phone rang, its shrill tone slicing through the heavy silence. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the receiver. It was Lucas checking in from his trip. "Sophia, how are things at home?" His voice was warm, but it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. "Everything's fine." I lied, my voice barely above a whisper. Just busy with the house." There was a pause, and I could almost hear him frown through the line. "You sound off. Is everything okay?" I swallowed hard, the words catching in my throat. "Yes, just a bit tired. I'll be better when you're back." "Okay, love, I'll be home tomorrow. We'll talk." Then, the call ended and I sank to the floor, my back against the wall, tears streaming down my face. How could I tell him? How could I explain this breach of trust, this betrayal of our vows? Archie approached again, his tail wagging tentatively. I couldn't push him away this time. I wrapped my arms around him, burning my face in his fur, seeking comfort in the very being that had led me into this moral quagmire. The rest of the day passed in a haze. I moved through the motions of life, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying the morning's events, the guilt, the confusion. As night fell, I found myself back in the kitchen, staring at the now darkened window, my reflection, a ghostly figure against the backdrop of the night. Archie lay at my feet, his presence a constant reminder of what had happened. I knew I had to confront Lucas, not just about the mysterious letters, the lipstick stain, or the unfamiliar perfume, but about this too, about how in a moment of weakness, I had strayed so far from what I believed was right. The thought of confessing made my stomach churn. Would he understand? Could he forgive? Or would this be the final straw, the one that broke us apart? I lay in bed that night, Archie beside me, his breathing steady and comforting, yet sleep eluded me. My mind was a storm of guilt, fear, and the looming confrontation with Lucas. What would tomorrow bring? Would it be the end of us? Or could we find a way through this? As I drifted into a restless sleep, one thing was clear. The perfect life we had was now irrevocably changed, and the path forward was shrouded in uncertainty. Days passed, each one heavier than the last. Lucas returned, his face lit up with the joy of being home, unaware of the storm brewing within me. I tried to act normal, to smile, to laugh, but every touch from him felt like a lie. Archie, sensing the change, became more subdued, his eyes following me with a mix of confusion and sadness. One evening, as we sat down for dinner, Lucas noticed my distraction. "You seem different. Sophia, is everything okay?" His voice was filled with concern. My heart raced, the words stuck in my throat. I looked down at my plate, the mashed potatoes blurring into a sea of white as I tried to muster the courage to speak. "Have you been feeling off lately?" I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. Lucas reached across the table, his hand seeking mine. I let him take it, feeling the warmth of his touch, but it was as if I was touching a stranger. "Is it something I've done?" he asked, his eyes searching mine for answers. I shook my head, the guilt for my moment of weakness, with Archie weighing heavily on me. "No, it's not you. It's just everything feels different." Lucas squeezed my hand gently. "We can talk about anything. Sophia, you know that, right?" I nodded, but the words wouldn't come. How could I tell him about the mysterious, the cryptic letters, the lipstick stain, or the scent of another's perfume? And how could I possibly confess what had happened with Archie? The thought alone made my stomach churn with nausea. The dinner continued in silence, the clicking of cutlery, the only sound between us. After dinner, Lucas suggested we watch a movie, hoping to lighten the mood. We sat on the couch, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying the events of the past days, the letters, the phone call, and that morning with Archie as the movie played. I felt Lucas's arm wrap around me, pulling me close. His touch was meant to be comforting, but it felt like a vice around my heart. I shifted away slightly, pretending to adjust my position. But really I was pulling away from him, from the life we had built, which now felt like a facade. Later, in the quiet of our bedroom, Lucas turned to me. Sophia, I know something's wrong. Please talk to me. The room was dim, the only light coming from the street lamp outside, casting shadows that arced on the walls. I took a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of our shared life, now tainted by secrets and betrayal. I found letters. Lucas. I began, my voice trembling. Letters from someone named A.H. They talk about secrets about you. And there was a lipstick stain on your collar and a perfume that isn't mine. Lucas's face went pale, his eyes wide with shock. Sophia. I can explain. No. I cut him off, my voice firm, despite the turmoil inside. I need to know everything, and there's something else. Something I did that I'm not proud of. He sat up, his expression turning from shock to concern. What is it? Murray. I hesitated, the words heavy on my tongue. When you were away, I was lonely, and Archie, he was there, and in a moment of weakness, I let things go too far. Lucas's face contorted with confusion and pain. With Archie, our cute dog. I nodded, tears streaming down my face. I know it's wrong, Lucas. I know it's unforgivable. But I need to be honest with you. I need us to be honest with each other. The silence that followed was deafening. Lucas got up from the bed, pacing the room, his hands running through his hair. Sophia. I don't know what to say. I've been keeping things from you too. But this I need to know about. A Lucas. Who is she? What secrets are you hiding? My voice was a plea, desperate for the truth that could either save or destroy us. Lucas stopped, pacing his back to me. It's complicated. Sophia is someone from my past, someone I thought I could trust. She's been blackmailing me, threatening to reveal things that could ruin us. Ruin us? I echoed, the weight of his words sinking in. What could be so bad? He turned to face me, his eyes filled with a mix of fear and resignation. It's not just about me, Sophia. It's about our life, our future. But what you've told me, I need time to process this. The night stretched on, each of us lost in our own thoughts, the distance between us growing with every silent second. I lay there feeling the cold space where Lucas should have been, the warmth of Archie beside me, now a stark reminder of my betrayal. As dawn broke, casting a soft light into the room, I knew that today would be the day of reckoning. Lucas would either leave, unable to forgive, or we would face this storm together, trying to salvage what remained of our once perfect life. But one thing was clear. The illusion of our idyllic existence was shattered, and the truth, painful as it was, had to be confronted. The tension reached its peak. One stormy night, Lucas was working late again, and I was alone with Archie, the rain beating against the windows like an ominous drum. The guilt was unbearable, and in a moment of desperation, I decided to write a letter to Lucas confessing everything. As I penned my confession, tears blurred the ink on the paper, each word a testament to the turmoil within me. Just as I sealed the envelope, the front door opened and Lucas walked in, soaked from the rain. He saw the letter in my hand, his expression shifting from surprise to concern. Sophia, what's that? He asked, his voice trembling. I handed him the letter, my hands shaking. Lucas, I need to tell you something. I whispered, my voice barely audible over the storm outside. He took the letter, his fingers brushing against mine, and I felt a jolt of fear and anticipation. He opened it slowly, his eyes scanning the words. I watched as his face changed from confusion to shock, and then to a deep, pained sorrow. Sophia, what have you done? His voice was a mix of disbelief and hurt. I couldn't look at him. My gaze fell to the floor where Archie lay, his tail no longer wagging, his eyes reflecting the storm outside. I was lonely, Lucas, and in a moment of weakness, I let things go too far with Archie. Lucas's breath hitched. With Archie, our cute dog, his voice broke, the pain evident. Yes, I admit it, the word, a whisper laden with shame. I know it's wrong, unforgivable, but I needed to be honest with you. I needed us to be honest with each other. The silence that followed was deafening, filled only by the relentless drumming of the rain. Lucas paced the room, his hands running through his hair, his mind clearly racing with the implications of my confession. Finally, he stopped, facing me with a look that was both distant and searching. Sophia, I've been keeping things from you too. She's someone from my past, Someone I thought I could trust. She's been blackmailing me, threatening to reveal things that could ruin us. Ruin us. I echoed the weight of his words sinking in what could be so bad. He turned to face me fully, his eyes filled with a mix of fear and resignation. It's not just about me, Sophia. It's about our life, our future. But what you've told me, I need time to process this. The night stretched on each of us, lost in our own thoughts, the distance between us growing with every silent second. I lay there feeling the cold space where Lucas should have been, the warmth of Archie beside me, now a stark reminder of my betrayal. As dawn broke, casting a soft light into the room, I knew that today would be the day of reckoning. Lucas would either leave, unable to forgive, or we would face this storm together, trying to salvage what remained of our once perfect life. But one thing was clear. The illusion of our idyllic existence was shattered and the truth painful, as it was had to be confronted. The morning light didn't bring clarity, only a heavier sense of dread. Lucas was already up, sitting at the kitchen table, the letter I had written lying open in front of him. His eyes were red, his face drawn as if he hadn't slept at all. I approached him, my heart pounding. Lucas. He held up a hand, stopping me. Sophia, I need to understand why. Why did you feel you had to go to such lengths? Tears welled up again, but I fought them back. I was lost. Lucas. The letters, the lipstick, the perfume. I felt like our life was slipping away. And in that moment with Archie, I was seeking something, anything to hold on to. Lucas looked away, his jaw tight. Anda, what do you know about her? Only what you've told me. She's from your past, blackmailing you. But what secrets are so damaging, Lucas? He sighed a deep, weary sound. Before we met I made some mistakes. Sophia. Financial troubles. A brief affair that ended badly. Was involved and she's using it against me. Now she wants money and she's threatening to tell you everything if I don't comply. The room felt colder, the air thick with betrayal and secrets. Why didn't you tell me? I wanted to protect you, protect us. But now with everything that's happened, his voice trailed off, the unspoken words hanging between us. I sat down opposite him. The table, a barrier between us. Lucas, we need to face this together. We can't let all my mistake tear us apart. He looked at me, then really looked, his eyes, searching mine for something, perhaps forgiveness or understanding. Can we, Sophia, after everything? I want to try, I said, my voice firm. Despite the turmoil inside, I love you, Lucas, and I believe in us, in what we've built. He nodded slowly, his hand reaching across the table to cover mine. It was a small gesture, but it felt like a lifeline. I need time, Sophia, time to think, to process, but I want to try too. The day passed in a blur of tense silence and cautious conversations. We talked about the past, about our future. Each word was a step towards rebuilding, or perhaps redefining what we had. As evening approached, the storm outside had calmed, but the one within our home was still brewing. Lucas suggested we go for a walk to clear our heads, with Archie by our side. We walked through the neighborhood, the air crisp after the rain, the world around us seemingly at peace. Sophia, Lucas started, his voice hesitant. I've been thinking maybe we should confront together. Show her that we're united, that her threats won't break us. I nodded, feeling a surge of resolve. Yes, let's do that. We need to take back control of our lives. We returned home with a plan, forming a fragile hope that we could weather this storm. As we settled in for the night, the tension was still palpable, but there was also a new tentative bond forming, one built on the raw honesty of our confessions. Lying in bed with Archie curled up at our feet, I felt Lucas's hand find mine under the covers. It was a simple touch, but it spoke volumes. We were in this together, facing the unknown, but together. Nonetheless, the night was quiet, the storm having passed. But inside, the winds of change were still blowing, reshaping our lives in ways we couldn't yet foresee. But one thing was certain, the perfect life we had was now irrevocably changed, and the path forward was one. We would walk hand in hand or not at all. Lucas read the letter in silence, his face a mask of disbelief and pain. When he finally looked up, his eyes were filled with tears. Sophia, how could this happen? He asked, his voice breaking. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my confession hanging in the air. Lucas, I was so lonely when you were away. The letters, the lipstick, the perfume, it all made me feel like I was losing you. And in that moment with Archie, I was seeking something, anything to hold on to. Lucas listened, his face a mix of emotions. After what felt like an eternity, he took my hand. Sophia, we've been through a lot. This is something we'll have to work through together or not at all. The room was heavy with the gravity of our situation. I know, Lucas. I want to try. I love you and I believe in us and what we've felt. He nodded slowly, his hand squeezing mine. I need time, Sophia, time to think, to process, but I want to try too. The decision to seek counseling came naturally. We both knew that the path to healing would be long and fraught with challenges. We should talk to someone, Lucas suggested one evening, his voice soft but determined, someone who can help us navigate this. I agreed, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. Yes, let's do that. We need all the help we can get. The counseling sessions were intense, filled with raw honesty and painful revelations. We learned to communicate in ways we never had before, to express our fears, our desires, and our regrets. The therapist, Dr. William, was patient and wise, guiding us through the storm of our emotions. During one session, Lucas opened up about. She was someone from my past. Sophia. I made mistakes, financial troubles, a brief affair that ended badly. She's been using it against me, threatening to expose everything. I listened, my heart aching for the man I loved, who had carried this burden alone. Why didn't you tell me? Lucas, I wanted to protect you. Protect us, he said, his eyes meeting mine with a sincerity that broke my heart. But now, with everything that's happened, we decided to confront together. The plan was to meet her at a neutral location, a cafe downtown where we could talk face to face. The day of the meeting was tense, the air thick with anticipation and fear. As we sat across from her, presence was like a dark cloud. She was elegant, her demeanor calm, but with an edge of menace. Lucas, Sophia, she greeted, her voice smooth, almost mocking. We're here to end this, Lucas said firmly, his hand finding mine under the table. Whatever leverage you think you have, it's over. Smiled a smile that didn't reach your eyes. Oh, Lucas, it's never that simple. But perhaps seeing you both here, I can see you're serious. The conversation was fraught with tension, but we stood our ground. We made it clear that we were united, that her threats would no longer control us. It was a moment of empowerment, of reclaiming our lives from the shadows of deceit. After the meeting, we walked back home, the weight of the confrontation lifting slightly with each step. We did it, I whispered, feeling a surge of hope. Yes, we did, Lucas replied, his voice filled with a newfound resolve. Archie, our golden retriever, was rehomed to a friend's farm where he could run free away from the complexities of human relationships. It was a bittersweet decision, but necessary for our healing process. Life moved on, but the incident left a permanent mark on our lives, a reminder of the fragility of trust and the depths of loneliness. We attended more counseling sessions, learning to rebuild not just our marriage but our individual selves. The question lingered in my mind, often voiced during our late-night talks. Could our marriage survive such an unconventional betrayal? The answer was not immediate, nor was it simple. It was in the quiet moments, the shared glances over dinner, the laughter that slowly returned, and the tears we shed together. We found strength in our vulnerability, in our willingness to face the darkness together. As months turned into years, our bond grew stronger, not because we forgot the past, but because we chose to move forward with it. Our home, once a sanctuary of illusions, became a true sanctuary of healing and growth, and so we walked hand in hand, not just through the physical paths of our neighborhood, but through the emotional landscapes of our lives. The path was uncertain, but it was ours, and we were together facing whatever came next as a united front. If you feel that this story is meaningful and brings useful lessons, please like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thanks.